It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Okay, guys, so P. Diddy received a 50-month sentence in federal prison. Now, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of how this is going to work for him. Now, 50 months, the way the feds work, you get credit for about 56 to 57 days a year in good time. So, he'll be eligible for about 8 to 8.5 months of good time off of that 50-month sentence, which leaves him with about 42 months to do. Now, he's already got about 12 months in with his time he spent in MDC Brooklyn. So I guess it worked out for him that he didn't get bail. Now, in a sense, it would have been better for him probably to get bail because he would have spent the majority of his time in a better facility than the one he is now. Had he been out on bail after his sentencing, he would have been going immediately into federal custody, and then he would have been going into a federal detention center like MDC Brooklyn while he awaited designation, which usually only takes about, anywhere from 15 to 30 days. So then he would have spent all of his time in a federal prison opposed to in MDC Brooklyn, where he is presently housed, which I can guarantee you is way worse than any place he is about to go. So let's get back to the numbers and the breakdown. So after the 50-month sentence, you take off the 8 to 8.5 months worth of good time that he will be eligible for. He has to still earn that by staying out of trouble, not getting any fights, not getting any infractions, which I think he'll be able to do. So that leaves him with 42 months to do. Now, out of that 42 months, he has about 12 months time served, i.e. again, the time he spent incarcerated without getting bail. That knocks him down to about 30 months. So right now, Puffy has about 30 months left to do. Now, the way the feds work also, after 24 months, which means 6 months to your release date, he'll be eligible to go to the halfway house. Once he's in the halfway house, he'll be eligible for home confinement, work release programs, and things like that within about 15 to 20 days of his entering into halfway house. So again, he'll be eligible to go to the halfway house 6 months to his release date, which will be after he spends another 24 months in jail calculating all of those other things. And once he is in the halfway house, he'll be eligible for home confinement within a week or two. With all of his resources and all of his money, within a week or two, he'll be on home confinement or work release. So you'll see P. Diddy out on the streets in about 24 months. Now, my opinion on his sentence and all that stuff like that, I'll save that for a later date. I did predict that he would probably get a sentence like this. Again, he is technically considered a first-time offender. In his more serious crimes, serious offenses, he was found not guilty of, which puts him on a scope and a scale way less than he could have been had he been convicted of like the RICO charges and things like that. That would have enhanced his sentences. Now, again, with him also being a first-time offender, he's going to be eligible for camp status very, very early on into his into the bid that he's got to do, into the time that he's got to do. So it's not going to be long before you see Diddy in a camp-like environment, i.e. like the one Martha Stewart served her time in. So he's not going to do much hard time. The hardest time that he is going to do is the time he's already done in MDC Brooklyn. Once he goes into the federal system and get assigned designation, he's not going to be seeing a maximum security prison, a medium high security prison. He's probably not even going to see technically like barbed wired fences or locked doors. It won't be long before he finds himself in a place like Fort Dix or even Fort Dix Camp or Otisville Camp. He's going to be in a camp-like environment very soon. And I predict that to happen within about 8 months of his sentence if he's not designated for camp status initially. So he could find himself in a camp immediately. Like he can immediately start serving his time in a camp. That could easily happen. But again, I predict that Diddy will see the streets in about 24 months. However I may feel about it or however anybody else may feel about it, that's the reality of the situation. And there as it stands. I made a video prior to where I was quoted as saying that he got sentenced to 48 months, but I was mistaken. When I heard the 4-year sentence, I didn't realize they had added the extra 2 months, which is probably works in his favor because it gives him more opportunity to receive more good time credit. That's for a whole nother video as well.
Yo, man, P. Diddy. Yeah, he got to sit this one out, man. He need to sit this one out. He need to sit every bit of his time out because what he did outside of being a freaky ass dude was horrendous. It was crazy. Let's just say that. Threatening people, blowing up cars, uh, forcing people to do things, drugging people. We got witnesses. I'm gonna show the witnesses. We got witnesses at the end of this video. Um, it's crazy. It's insane. So the fact that he got off so easy is that's why I put the R. Kelly. That's why I put the R. Kelly thing at the beginning. R. Kelly got 25 years for doing the same thing P. Diddy did. And R. Kelly made way bigger hits than P. Diddy. Way bigger hits. Y'all still listen to Aaliyah to this day. Y'all still listen to R. Kelly to this day. Everybody talking about it. I ain't stopped listening to R. Kelly. Ain't nobody playing no damn Notorious Big. Ain't nobody playing no damn Faith Evans. Ain't nobody playing no Little Kim. Ain't nobody playing no damn 112. Y'all not listening to that? This man got 4 years. And R. Kelly gave us 50 years worth of hits. R. Kelly made a song for Michael Jackson. And he got 25 years. P. Diddy got 4. Y'all think about that.
So hopefully this information was.
Well, I'm outside the federal court building here in New York City, where P. Diddy has just been sentenced to.
R. Kelly, besides the sex tape, R. Kelly he don't have no abuse charges. No, he didn't do half the stuff. There was no RICO. There was nothing. P. Diddy got 4 years. R. Kelly is a predator. Okay? But, man, y'all got to think about it. Just compare the two.
50 months in prison. So that's 4 years and 2 months in prison. He'll also have to serve 5 years of supervised release.
Voicemail, press 2.
Hey there. I'm calling because I was just seeing your live right now, and I thought that you might like my opinion. When it comes to the whole Diddy thing, in my opinion, it's all a part of the distraction that the powers that be utilize. It's still just to tear down another black man or another the black community, because at the end of the day, it's all manipulation. And being a part of the wheelhouse, just being trapped in the maze like a rat, their objective is to continuously tear down the black community because of our natural born God-given strength and who we are as a people. And when we invest all of our time in, and this is all just my opinion now, but when we invest our time in this rat trap, they are siphoning all of our energy, our spiritual energy, our mental energy, our physical energy, even sometimes. And that just only further perpetuates our downward spiral into doom. Because for us as a community, being the only culture that is, really downtrodden, nonstop, foot on your neck, 24/7 and as a black man especially, as I do, the everyday, slights that we have to deal with, like really no other, individuals. Because even upon, other cultures migrating to the America or to America, they were pressured or forced, to assimilate, to tear us down. Otherwise, with the threat and the fear of, if you don't put your foot on their necks like we're telling you to, then we're going to put our foot on your neck just like we do theirs, which is how the Asians treat blacks so terribly, and the Mexicans, and the Indians, and I mean shit, even the Africans. But of course, when you ask these other cultures, when they come from their land, like what kind of movies and TV shows do you guys see about how do they depict the black person in your country? And in Africa, for instance, the reason why Africans hate African Americans so much and there's such a disgust is because all they're shown through their propaganda is that black men are drug dealers, black women are prostitutes. And it's just like, if you remember, I don't know if you remember way back in the day at like 2-3 in the morning when they used to show those African commercials with that song, Ava Marie song playing in the background with the starving African children with the flies flying all over them and the big bloated pregnant looking stomach. You remember those commercials?
Yeah, I will remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that really had me growing up my whole life really thinking like that's really how all of Africa was. And even when we in our movies, Rwanda, that one Rwanda movie, which was just, even to this day I cry if I just don't even watch it anymore because it's so horrendous. Or Blood Diamond, with what's his name? Any movies that they do show, it's not showing the people's truest actual identity. They're taking, I mean, it's kind of like if you were being in America, I mean, if you go to any of the baddest places in America and you only show those places, then everyone's going to think that that's all there is. But going back to the Diddy thing, if you look back, I hope I'm not getting off track or anything, but if you look at the Diddy thing and you connect the correlating dots and you find the pattern, before him, R. Kelly, as you just said, as you stated, before that, it was Bill Cosby. And before that, it was, Kaepernick or something. If you just go down the line, it's always just the black community. Why? Because the powers that be that really run the country, because we all know that the president and the presidents of the other countries, they're not the ones who actually rule. It's those ones that it's the original bloodlines. The bloodlines that they can track all the way back to, they can way back. And if those bloodlines, like I don't even want to say any names, but we all know those bloodlines, the Roth ones and the Rocca ones, and we know those bloodlines. And if they can, for considering the fact that they can track those bitches back to the blank hundreds of like thousands, that's that hundreds, and that it's all a part of the manipulation and the scheme, because at the end of the day, their goal is to keep our soul in this recycling trap.
I agree with you, because listen to this. I just posted a video today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was a woman was talking about parties at Jack Nicholson's house. The Playboy Mansion was another hot spot there, but those people, they're not prosecuted. Nobody's speaking out on them. The Me Too movement was shut down when it came to them. But when it comes to the black man, we have been targeted. Russell Simmons won't even come back to America because of this.
And wasn't Russell Simmons one of the ones who trained Diddy on how to do what he does? I could be incorrect on this, but when you look into who taught Diddy what he knows, when Diddy was first coming up in the industry, who were his mentors? Just like how Diddy was Cassie's, who was the Diddy for Diddy?
Andre Harrell.
And then who's all Andre's clique. And when you look into it and you really go further and further back, you see just how and then when you hear some of these artists that speak out, I remember seeing back in the day when Sukiana, and I love that little ratchet hoe.
Oh my God! Did you see her video the other day when she went to Longhorn with her on her date? Oh man, you gotta see that. It's funny as shit. But anyway,
That show.
continue.
There,
Continue.
there,
My bad.
so
That's gonna
there
go
was
off.
this, and I can't stand Sexy Red, but I something about that ratchet scandalousness. She's the only one though, and I can only have one. That's it. But she had this old school video that came out back when she was still like like a gutter rat, like when she still had the plastic wigs and that was just the no makeup and just busted still.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was crying, and she was crying, and behind her was there was like a fence behind her and grass, and she was just like really crying about selling her soul to the devil, and she didn't know what she was doing, and she didn't mean to, and blah 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 blah. But it's those kind of moments where artists come out and they actually accidentally tell the truth, and it's and oftentimes we're made to believe like they're just they're making it up, or they hide it and they don't promote those videos, so that way it just gets forgotten. But one of my beliefs is that it's something that the people call them the devil, or I consider it as like just the dark entities. Something that they do, a part of the manipulation scheme is, I'm going to give you truth, yes, but I'm also going to put lies within that truth, and then I'm going to flood you with so much falsities and truths that it becomes overwhelming. So then you just give up altogether because it's too much. And most individuals, especially now, do not have the mental wherewithal to sit there and decipher and process and and analyze and figure out what is the falsity, which part of this information is false, which part is true. Because just like the old school saying, there's their side, your side, and the truth. Same thing. There's the false, the truth, and then the in-between, which is just a collaboration of both. And when they, by flooding the market, with truth and with tons of falsities around it, it does take a lot to just mental strength to really process. And there are certain moments in my life that I've really had those like, oh, wait a minute, what the fuck? And one of them was with something that Donald Trump had said, where he had said whatever, and I did not watch the video at first. I had only watched the Democratic side of them saying like, this is what he said, like, and it was so dramatic. But then when I actually saw the video and what he actually said, I was like, nah, nigga, I'm so sorry. He said what he said, and everything that you're saying is really just an exaggeration of it. But if you just listen to the actual words, because I remember they were trying to say like he's going mental too, just like Joe Biden, and because he's stammering and he's bouncing around different topics and he's not making any sense. But if you actually listen with an academic mind, and you're not just listening for the gotcha moments or for the whatever other moments.
Yeah, I got you.
He actually said everything, that he answered all the questions. It was just, and yes, they were combined, but he did answer all of the questions. You just didn't like what he said and how he said it. But no, he said what he said. And that's when I realized, that's when I had the moment of, oh shit, the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans. In fact, when you look into AIPAC, and what AIPAC, mahogany, shit, what, there's a word when letters stand for something, like, so AIPAC, there's a term for that. And when you actually look at what it means, it's something for Israel. And most folks don't know that. And, when they want to argue, why are we following behind Israel? And how come if you say anything against Israel, then everything gets shut down and blah, blah, blah. And things get, demonetized and blah, 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 other shit. Well, if you just look into who AIPAC is, and then who has AIPAC in their pocket, just as many Democrats have AIPAC funding them as the Republicans. So when Kamala Harris, originally came out arguing, saying that she's for green energy, I believe it was. And then all of a sudden during the campaign for president, all of a sudden she switched up and said, no, we need oil. Okay, well, what would make her have that switch all of a sudden? Because, bitch, last time I checked, people don't just go around just flip-flopping like that. So what is causing, like, what's going on there? And, I'm a part of what I look, just, it's hard to have friends because a lot of people do not like truth. And that's one of my issues in life. is the reason why I you know, because I'm solid, and it's sometimes I think it's a shortcoming to be such a solid ass person, because truth is like garlic, or you know, to a vampire. And I'm realizing right now in life, being 32, I'm really realizing that when you tell truth, that's pretty much when I'm accidentally making you see reality, and it's kind of like breaking the unspoken rule of like, hey, I'm living my false life, I'm living I'm living in my own la la land, so please do not come around and purposefully or accidentally force me to live in reality too, because I don't want to live in reality. And then that's where all of that spitefulness and evilness and all of, you know, you were so cool, but now all of a sudden they're just a fucking demon, and it's like, yo, what the fuck? I thought we were cool. And it's like, yeah, we were, until you forced me to see reality, even when it's accidental by just.
That's how this whole situation came about. It's because, again, we're now seeing the truth of who P. Diddy is. Now, he may be a violent person, but initially this came about with him just being overly sexual. And all of the stuff coming out is pretty much him being violent over the things that he was doing sexually being put out in the public, and people manipulating what he was actually doing. Now, rappers have been saying for years that don't go to a Diddy party. Don't go to a Diddy party.
But they still went, and they still had their photos taken, and they were still a part of the menage a trois and shit. And it's when you go even deeper into that, because you are correct, but when you go even further into that rabbit hole, and you just ask these logical questions, and you find the correlating dots, it's still a part of the distraction once again, because it only comes to light only when they need a distraction. Hey, look over here. Because while this whole Diddy thing has been going on, what has the government been doing? They passed the bill. They passed the bill to give the government the right to suspend your online digital currency. They passed the bill for, you know, to allow digital currency, so that cryptocurrency shit. Soon that will, you know, they're fading out the dollar bill, and soon in the future, probably by the time our kids or grandkids, there will be no more paper dollars. It'll all be digital. And but right now, in the beginning, for them to pass these bills, and they sneak it in within other bills. It's not a bill just on digital currency, but it's about something for, like, let's say the environment. I don't know, but it's on something completely different. But then they slip in the digital currency. And so then when it gets passed, it's now law. And it's, you know, I've learned anytime someone is saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, go look over there, go look over there. You know, I've learned to start turning around and look behind me now, because, okay, you're jumping around like a clown over there, or you want me to look at this clown that's jumping around, which is just whatever current distraction there is. So that way I'm not looking behind me of what you are really doing with that person sneaking up behind me. And I don't know, I remember back in high school, one time someone tried to do the whole thing where, like, someone came up behind me and like got on all fours, so that way the person in front could push me and I would fall backwards and like fall straight on my back. And luckily I was able to, it didn't happen because I caught onto it immediately. But same thing, like, it's just so that way they can put something behind you to block you, so that way when the thing in front of you does finally, you know, come at you and you try to run away, you can't run away, and you fall and you falter, and then bam, they got you.
So the news today, the big news today and yesterday was the P. Diddy trial, which overshadowed our whole government shutting down over certain situations. And I'm telling y'all, that's some real stuff. And the hundreds of thousands of jobs that will be lost because of this shutdown, the people who are being laid off, the people who are
permanently. Yeah, it's permanent layoff. Yeah. Like, I think they called it furlough or something like that.
Furlough, yeah. Well, no, furlough is not permanent. There's actual layoffs that's permanent.
Yeah. Yes.
Those people, those people can't come back and get their job. They can't come back and get their jobs. They have to reapply.
Yeah.
for something
And
else.
to think that you would fire someone that has 10, 15, 20 years experience working this same job to hire someone, for it's their first year just to pay them less. And then if you think even further back to the distractions, there was all the stuff that Trump was doing with the whole Biden thing and just him going after him. And just, if you just look at every big news, whatever that's going on, and then you look back and see what is the government really doing behind the scenes. I mean, think about how many Hispanics have been, what is it when they send you back to your country?
Deported.
Yeah. Think about how many, and even Americans that are Hispanic being deported.
Oh,
But
they are.
notice,
It's an active attack on black people in Chicago, in Washington D.C., in
yeah,
Seattle. There are active in Miami. I got another story that I want to talk about where they're active people who are against, who are Democrats by party who they vote for or who they register to vote for are being attacked locally just because of their voter registration, because who they are fighting for within their communities are being attacked by the Republican Party of their, and they're using other, like they're using other. I'm gonna get to that because that's a whole nother story. I've been working with somebody behind the scenes on a story that's gonna blow some people's minds, because really the Republicans are attacking this woman based on her Democratic stance. And I'm not saying it's good or bad or whatever, but it's bad. But the thing is, we all have to work together as Americans, and uh, some people have to fight for the people, regardless
yeah,
of your political affiliation. You have to fight for the people. We are going to
yeah,
lose our ways based. This is like I can only attribute it to Bloods and Crips. It's detrimental to the society of black men. Is
yeah,
Bloods and Crips. Um, this is what Democrats and Republicans is. They're fighting against each other. It's a flag. We label us with these colors. We label us with these words: liberal, conservative, far left, far right. And at the end of the day, we're humans. We're black people. We're white people. We work together in schools. We work together in cafeterias. We work together in trash. I'm just using trash men. There's black and white people that stand together. You may be Republican, you may be Democrat, but you draw a line somewhere because of your political status, and they are. It's really hurting our community because we're not speaking to each other about the real situations, because we're thinking, oh, you're trying to fund illegal immigrants, or you're trying to do none of that
it's
shit matters.
isolation. It's isolation. A good manipulator knows to isolate and attack. Just like when you go hunting, you don't attack a herd. You isolate that one that you see as the weak link, and then you go after that one. And I do agree with you, but when it comes to the coloring of race, one thing that logically speaking, we cannot go to the country named black, nor can we go to the country named white. And when we look into history, there's no such thing as white. There's no such thing as black. And all of the different quote unquote white countries that were eventually allowed to become quote unquote white, it took time. And the Irish, I believe, were the very last ones, because the Irish were the last ones to migrate, I believe, and they were with the Negroes. And there's no country called black. So therefore, it's still just a part of the manipulation. And when we keep pulling, it's kind of like a lens when you zoom in, but when you zoom out and you look at the macro, it constantly reminds us to look at the manipulation on how they put us in boxes, so that way we see each other as individuals and not as a community. And when it comes to the the parties that we choose. I heard this somewhere. I don't remember where, but they said the greatest trick of them all was to make us believe that there's a such thing as choice.
Yeah.
Because who determined that you can only be a Republican or a Democrat or the in between one?
That's a fact.
And yet when you look at it, when you see that, then in the same breath you go to a store and there's 30 different flavors of chips and there's 20 different types of the same soup, and there's we have 50 different types of bread. Like, look at the bread aisle. Why is there so many different choices? And that's a part of the manipulation, to make us believe that we do actually have a choice, but in actuality, they are really, like, they're the ones who are designing all of this. And when you I mean, the research that I've done, just personally, because my only goal is truth. Like, that's just a part of my integrity and who I am. I'm not religious anymore, although I was raised in the church and I was raised Christian. I realized that religion is still a part of the manipulation.
Let me ask you this before we go.
Yes.
What is your solution to the Democratic, what they call it, the radical Democratic shutdown? Because I'm just going based on what's been put out. But not, your solution doesn't mean it's like what it is, but what do you think your solution will be?
That is a good question. Really good question. I believe that the solution is, and this solution goes across anything and every field when it comes to truth and righteousness, and having that spirit of God or that Christ consciousness. There's a thing in the political world, like when you start from the beginning, like a grassroot, I think is what they call it. It's a grassroot organization, so it's like a small community, and it slowly grows by outreach and person to person and phone calls and kind of stuff like that. We have to adopt the same method as a community that the slaves used, that the elites use, just like the Illuminati or the secret organizations like the Masons. We have to utilize the same structure, meaning instead of all of this social media, the posting, the everything being public where everyone sees everything, it needs to be private. Mm-hmm. And I even want to say that to you, just as a black man doing the right thing. I warn you, saying, hey, I suggest that you create another YouTube channel without your face. You still do your lives and still do whatever, still use your voice even, but don't show your face. And when you sign up, have a different email that doesn't have your name or anything related to you. Use a different proxy or a VPN when you're posting and stuff, so that way you can stay completely private and no one can track you back. Because if with what we're talking about right now, this is the very first time I've ever had this kind of conversation on something social like this. I mean, I don't even have social media. Mm-hmm. And being 32, it's because when you know the truth and when you become a truth teller or a truth seeker, you then put a target on your back. And that is when all of a sudden, because gang stalking and this, it's real. Mm-hmm. Like the shit that the government does, like the black bagging and the van pulling up on your ass, like that shit is real. Mm-hmm. And if seeing with the amount of truth that we are speaking, I would never have this kind of I would not where it's public like this. Yeah, now, if we were having a private Zoom and you were sending out, group emails and people were joining the Zoom for this kind of conversation, then that's safe. Mm-hmm. And, that would be okay. But something that's public like this, no, because once it goes out there in the public sphere, you can never take it back.
Yeah. I honestly agree with you. But, cause my life is, man, everybody, they ain't told my address, my criminal record, man, ain't nothing out there. So I done been there. So I understand what you're saying, and I get it. I do have other YouTube channels, but I haven't put a bunch of. Listen, the thing is, we have to. The only reason why I do this, I switched over to politics, is because I I have a voice. 41-year-old PJ has a voice. When I was younger, I didn't really care, but now I have a voice, and I have to bring some truth to reasoning. And I don't want to be. I'm not finna be. When you. I'm not finna be a radical. I'm not finna go all off the deep end about stuff. I just want to. I'll have logical conversations with people who have opposing views, not to argue with them, but to reason with them, to get some understanding. Cause I don't have an argument bone in my body. But if I can hear the other side, that's what we don't hear. We watch CNN, MSNBC, the Fox News. We watch all the biased news, but we don't have conversations where those meet. And that's
meaningful, impactful conversations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I.
And
that's
same thing with the news channels. When you look into that, something that caught my attention was how come if you pick 5 random states across the country and they're talking about the same story, how come each of them use the exact same word, like ostracized or something like that? There's no way that these 5, and then when you look further into it, there's like hundreds. And for them to all use the exact same word, that told me, okay, there's someone else, controlling this that we're unaware of. And then when you look into the parent companies, there's only like 4 or 5 parent companies that own all of the news channels in America. And Fox and CNN, they are owned by the same parent company, which means ultimately it's still all a part of the elites that still, control everything. And that's a part of the manipulation. And it's the scary part. Yeah.
They said every day, they say, watch the single mothers and the babies. I've been saying that over the past few days. Watch them say the single mothers and the babies. They're all hitting you with this. We got to protect the single mothers and the babies. I'm like, damn.
But then they don't do anything about it. Because if they were protecting the mothers and the babies, then they wouldn't be doing what they're doing with women's reproductive rights.
That's a fact.
I'm just very logical. Just make it make sense with all these conspiracy. Candace Owens, I love that bitch. Before when she was working for that Charlie dude, she would say some outlandish stuff, but something told me in my heart she's being forced to bring these talking points. But once she went independent and she was completely on her own, that bitch ain't said nothing but facts.
I said that a week ago.
And it's like, and that's she. I first found her when during COVID, when she was like, she was an anti-vaxxer. But it's like, okay, what she is saying though makes sense, and that's why when it comes to conspiracy theories as a whole, I don't care what the conspiracy theory is. Just does it logically make sense? Because if it is not logical, then okay, you sound crazy. But if it sounds logically, sound, and then you can verify, because that's when I love her for that too. The bitch brings receipts for days. She will throw receipts on that ass like you a stripper.
Yeah,
and I'm like, amen.
I had listened to one of her interviews, or I don't know, I think it was an interview, and that really changed my mind about her. Regardless of what she says, she says a lot of stuff, but if you think about it, I mean, she's a black person, so it don't matter who she married, none of that stuff matters. But when she speaks and you have to listen to her, sometimes you got to be like, if you're a reasonable person, you just got to be like, okay, that makes sense. You don't have to agree with everything, but you have to take your feelings out of the nonsense,
out of the truth, out of the truth of what she's saying.
And
but that goes back into the. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for calling. We're gonna get to more of the show, but thank you for calling. You can call in whenever we do the call-ins. I appreciate you.
I'm in California. I don't even want to say that. Never mind. Because this is still public. So I'm like, I want to talk to you more, like just privately, because like I don't get to talk to anyone really about all of the stuff that I know. I just kind of stay to myself, because being in one of these cities that I'm in, where it's just it's a salad bowl of just opinions, and a lot of people like to shout opinions and not facts. And being a black man, I don't know any. You'd be the first. that I'll get to have a logical, realistic conversation with. So if I can call this number back, then yes,
Well,
I
this
would
is
like
not
to
my
really, really.
this not my personal number. This is my YouTube channel number. But
Can you see the number that I called from?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can.
Okay, then whenever you can, call the number back because I would love to actually get to finally talk to another strong-headed black man in America that is on the same mind frame and frequency that I am on.
All
So
right,
I would be honored to be able to actually have dialogue with you.
Send a text message to this number so I can, because I can receive text messages. So send
I'll
a
do it
text
right
message
now.
to this number so I can get that, and then I chop it up with you.
Well, thank you for doing you and being a strong, level-headed black man in America throughout all of the harms and trials that you are forced to go through. Just know that I see you, bro, and I appreciate you, and stay up.
Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you calling in, man.
You're welcome. Adios.
All right, thanks.
Everyday people.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as fast as 1 week.